Well, long before our valley experienced legalized gambling, visitors from Michigan proposed using gaming tables and slot machines to combat the effects of the Great Depression. It was a proposal that received some skepticism from Palm Springs city leaders. Steve Sumrall explains in this edition of Our Desert Past.
Now, the Wethheimers, they were actually from Detroit, Michigan, and Al Wetheimer was supposedly part of the Purple Gang.
The Purple Gang, also known as the Sugar House Gang, were a mob of predominantly Jewish gangsters known for hijacking and bootlegging. In 1934, the Wetheimer brothers, Al and Lou, set their sights on what they believed would be yet another profitable business venture, gambling. And their chosen destination, Palm Springs.
They bought a home in the movie colony, in the old movie colony, that ended up, at this point, it's called the Darryl Zanuck estate, but it was owned by Wetheimer, Al Wetheimer and his wife. And they also bought the Colony Palms Hotel.
Al Wetheimer and his brother wanted to start a gambling operation in Palm Springs. They offered to open a plush nightclub which would create jobs and fill local hotels. They promised to increase the revenue of this area, which was being financially starved due to the effects of the Great Depression. They also promised to close said establishment should it, at any time, become objectionable to the community. It would not happen without some opposition.
The founding mothers, like Nellie Kaufman and Pearl McCallum McManus, they weren't too thrilled about the idea of having gambling here in Palm Springs.
And they were quite vocal about it. In fact, "If you build it, we will run you out of town," are the words that Nellie Kaufman famously shouted as she charged up to Wetheimer on a fire truck. Al escaped the scrutiny of his critics by simply going down the road a piece to Cathedral City, where he purchased 20 acres of land surrounded by date trees. This is where he built the Dunes Club.
At that point, it was unincorporated county, so they could set up there. And it wasn't just a casino, it was fine dining. It was a classy place to go, wonderful music and definitely a party atmosphere.
So, wealthy Easterners would flock to the desert to partake in Al Wetheimer's festivities. Maine lobster and Kansas City beef were on the menu, as well as many fine liqueurs. Top celebrities of the day would come by to try their luck on the felt gambling tables. Such notable figures such as the Ritz brothers, Humphrey Bogart, and Ronald Reagan have been seen here. Al Wetheimer would open 2 more gambling operations in Cathedral City, the 139 Club and the Cove, which today is home to the Elks Lodge. Despite all of Al Wetheimer's success, he was still determined to build a gambling operation in the city of Palm Springs. So he attempted to gain favor with city leaders the best way he knew how, by fundraising.
He was part of the founding group that started the Desert Circus.
It's 1,200 miles from Palm Springs to Texas, but tonight it's right next door.
Beginning in 1934, the event, which would become known as the Desert Circus, offered circus acts, live stage performances, rodeos, and parades, such as the one seen here. It grew in popularity to eventually become the quintessential Palm Springs event. Money raised from this gathering would benefit many local charities.
The first proceeds from the Desert Circus went to Our Lady of Solitude Catholic Church.
That is correct. A predominantly Jewish gangster raised money to build this Catholic church. That really happened. But despite Al Wetheimer's best fundraising efforts, he still wasn't allowed to bring gambling to Palm Springs. As the local and national economies improved, there was a noticeable rise in criminal activity. Palm Springs city leaders believe that this was because of some undesirables being attracted to the area by the illegal gambling operation. In this letter, they reminded Wetheimer of his promise to close. He refused. But Al Wetheimer would be taken down in 1941. Not by bullets or community leaders, but by one determined politician.
When Earl Warren, who was governor of California, decided that they were going to clamp down on gambling. He was arrested. He went to jail, and his health was not great. So first, when he was put in jail, it was in the hospital. And then when he was put in the county facility, he was put on kitchen duty. So that, you know, because his health was not great. And, you know, once he got out, I think that was pretty much the end of his gambling career, obviously.
Al Wertheimer would die of cancer on June 11th, 1953. The vacated Dunes Club would eventually burn to the ground. Because it was outside of city limits, Palm Springs fire trucks did not respond.
And then we got a police chief named Kettman, who basically was brought here to make sure that gambling was extinguished.
For a while, anyway. For our Desert Pass, Steve Sumrall, NBC Palm Springs, News First.